And now for something medieval inspired. Welcome back, fellow travellers. A fortnight has passed betwixt cosplay events, and you believe it's time to dust off an old outfit you once used to convince others that sword-slinging magical divinity was superior to arrow-launching leather-clad mundanity. Yet, in your dash to impress, you went a tad shilling happy and overtaxed your meagre frame with no idea how to waddle your way around town. Once again, we hope to show Paladins how to overcome being over-encumbered. Here we have Sir Cruss T, Oubliette, Baron over the northern plots in the village of Murky Iniquity. Okay, predictably he is over-encumbered. Unlike our last adventurer, who felt the need to be a medieval multi-tool, Cruss T has decided to be something lateral, the smiting warrior most divine, the Paladin. While our Paladin can't survey a land of its riches to save his own life, we can quite clearly see that he carries 4 scrolls, 2 spellbooks, 2 daggers, 2 helmets, a shoulder cape, 1 sword, 1 hammer, 1 spear, 1 shield, 3 potions, our trusty armour, and a bow? Okay, first of all, we need to address the elephant in the room. That bow is a no-no. While paladins may be able to launch an arrow, an archer, they are not. They are closer to a tank than they are the party's DPS. In fact, a goblin army is probably nightmare fuel for our hero. So let's playfully return the item to the elves and move on. Before we start piling on the goods, let's go ahead and don our armour. The main staple of a paladin can always be found within their armour, but their favourite piece tends to be the ever-flowing cape. Like Medieval Express, they never leave the village without it. It gives them a powerful presence on the field of battle, one that can only be matched by a creature of equal stature or another paladin. Speaking of mirror matches, 2 shiny helmets? Are we literally giving our enemy some help, or just narcissistically admiring our own reflection? There's no need for this silliness. Setting our single helmet aside, the first items we should probably take care of here are the books and scrolls. Far be it from me to take away someone's interest in pleasure reading, but I'd like to think that a paladin is more concerned with using an S in front of his words, and thus would have less time to recite long spells. So let's consider scaling down our magical verbiage. Now, in the rare occurrence that we would want to be a poor man's Swiss army mage, I'd personally suggest the Ulrich scroll bag, of which we can apply 2 here. The potions, right along with the scrolls, can be stored on our belt like so, with a bottle holder. The leather straps not only hold the vessels in place, but also ensure we don't give away our position with clanking glass. Not that we intend to do any sneaking in this getup. Next, let's cover the healing draft. As previously mentioned, a paladin is more of a bruiser, but that doesn't mean that they are completely inept at healing. They simply don't care to heal anyone but themselves. We can place this one next to the other potions, but I might recommend it on the other side. Even though the bottle is a different shape, there's nothing worse than drinking draft of the living death when you're too busy trying to avoid it to look down at which glass you're pulling. Which brings us to the daggers. Condoning the necessity for violence within our divinity, the hulking mass would not be very agile, the same way he would not be very range-like. Blunt force trauma and excessive slicing are his bread and butter, and daggers would only weigh him down. So, like the bow, we ditch with a pitch and carry on. Finally, we reach the fun part. Our oath dictates we pledge our task until death, but it also says we can dispatch death as much as we want, as atrocious as we want, to achieve that. So with that said, weapons. Our favourite divine smiting is a verbal only spell, so right off the bat we could go for the sword and shield. Definitely the most traditional of pallies, but is that who we really are? While smiting is easy to use for any paladin, any other spell in our playbook would require a free hand, which brings us to the hammer. Talk about bashing you over the head with divinity. A 2-handed weapon that requires you to let go to cast might also be a detriment to the warrior. So let us consider our final weapon, the Spear of Light. One that could be used to keep someone at bay one-handed while shoving magical potpourri in their face. Elegant and beautiful. Dangerous, yet pious. Yes, this is our weapon of choice. And there we are. Reading material and liquidy goodness secure. Healing device stored. Weapons decreased and then prominently displayed. Piety obvious. We have ourselves a paladin, ready for another adventure of divine intervention, whether peasants asked for it or not. We hope you have enjoyed seeing how to overcome being over-encumbered as a paladin. Please click all the buttons necessary to see more whimsical fantasy adventures from Medieval Collectibles.